Welcome to the Axecast. This is the Sunday, May 18th, 2025 edition of the Axecast. I'm your host, along with my co-host, Luke Inamark, Eric Parmenter. Guys, how we doing?
Good.
Guys, it is several weeks removed from the Grizzlies being eliminated from the postseason. Per usual, we are a little bit delayed in our postseason wrap-up. However, the Grizzlies season did end about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Did make the playoffs, did make it to a playoff game, playoff series. So probably just want to start with, we'll just start with the playoff series and what it was, and then we'll move backwards, and that'll kind of get us into the bigger picture of the meltdown that it was the last couple months of the season. So first things first, Grizzlies did a play-in game. Ultimately lost the first one, ended up winning the second one against lost to the Warriors, beat the Mavericks at home. That Mavericks game was a do or die. If we didn't beat the Mavericks, season would have been over. We did beat the Mavericks. We got OKC in the first round. I'll let you guys take it from here. What'd you guys think about the matchup against OKC?
Yeah, it was a bloodbath. It was alarming like how big the discrepancy was in the two teams. Later in the series, I guess games 3 and 4, at least we showed a little bit more fight and compete, and like we kind of had chances to make things interesting a little bit. But it was just complete. It was the whole last couple months of the season. It was just no defense, just offense at times was just stagnant again. And if you're not getting stops and you can't consistently score the ball, it's just like, what are we doing? Just getting out schemed, out coached, out hustled. It stung because like the Grizzlies historically, like the whole city of Memphis prides itself on being a gritty, hard nosed, tough team. And it feels like for the first time in a while, the team that the product that the Grizzlies put out for their fans and the world this year didn't align with that culture. And that's kind of like what Kleiman said in one of his exit interviews was like, we know what the city of Memphis is about. We know the type of team we want to put on the floor, and that's not what we had this year. And so as a diehard Grizz fan, all of us, it was hard to watch just because you're playing no defense. It's just up and down the court and hoping you score 150 and they only score 149. And it's just not sustainable. Obviously, there were injuries along the way that made it hard, as always. As a Grizzlies fan, it seems like everyone's always injured. But with the players that were on the court, you thought it would be more, there'd be more fight and more competitive play. It's kind of funny looking back now on that Mavericks playing game because that was a little like fake gleam of hope because we actually played really well against them and they had some of their guys come back from injury. And it's like now look in hindsight, it's like, yeah, they were definitely tanking. They were not trying to win that basketball game to get in the playoffs. They were looking to, expedite their off season and get in the draft. And then sure enough, they do that and get Cooper flagged because of it. But it's just the whole last 2 months was just brutal. The team collapsed. Really could have used some veteran leadership on this team. I know the whole Marcus Smart situation wasn't great when he was on the court, but at least he'd be someone to try to right the ship. We had no veteran leadership. You're relying on, Ja Moran and Desmond Bane to be the leaders of your team, which I just don't think those guys are in that position to be that for this team yet. Even they could say they're the leaders, and I mean they are, but it just you need someone that's been there, been through tough times, and has actually come out of it, been through the battles, and it just seemed like there was no stopping the avalanche downhill the last couple months, and it was a tough watch.
Yeah, for sure. It was the most one-sided thing maybe ever. It's just like felt so hopeless for like the first time ever. It's like even when they had like stretches of like good, they're still just getting like beat by the Thunder, and there's no chance. Um, like maybe like if we had ended up losing that Dallas game, maybe we would have the number one pick right now. Who knows?
Never know.
The NBA is rigged, so
So I wouldn't go as far to say as that Dallas was trying to lose that game, but definitely worked out for them. And that Thunder series was terrible. And you like you were saying, like Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, I guess are our leaders, but they only led us to getting swept. So
They're Shogun leaders. They're who we claim are our leaders, but we don't have true leadership on the team.
Yeah, and not to say that they're bad players; they're really good. If Morant didn't get injured, like maybe we could have. He said he figured them out, and we could have turned it around if he had stayed healthy. And I think that they were on our kind of a good like run when he did get injured. Like they were up in that game, and then they like ended up blowing a huge lead, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not gonna say that we would have won the series. I think like looking at the playoffs now, it's actually like really exciting because all these like underdogs are winning. Maybe if we had our team from like a few years ago, we would be like much more competitive. But oh well, too bad for the timing. But maybe we can do something this offseason for finally. We've been saying it for years.
We just trot back on the Axe Cast every offseason, and man, this is the year we're gonna make a trade. We're gonna get this free agent, and we just keep banging our heads against the wall.
death taxes and us screaming about an off-season trade that'll make us title contenders. It's the only things that are certain in life. Yeah. So I guess like just to tell my narrative of everything, dude, I was so hyped. Like, so there's not a bone in my body that doesn't root for the Memphis Grizzlies. Like that doesn't just bleed blue for the Memphis Grizzlies. And like I was so just PO'd with this team. Like they made me so angry. They made me so angry because they did not play defense. And I cared. Last Axecast I came on here and I said, I care more than they do. And it makes me so mad. But I couldn't. I'm not just going to lay down and not root for them. So I happened to have some time off from work and was able to go back home. Like just so happened to line up when we made the playoffs. And dude, driving across the M Bridge over the I-40 bridge, crossing the Mississippi River, and seeing the Grizzlies poster draped across the AutoZone building downtown, dude. Oh man, it had me so hyped. I was like, let's go. Like, I don't care, dude. Like, whatever Shannon Sharp rhymes, like Grizz and 5. Like, come on, man. Let's go. I was so hyped. So like the Mavericks win. That was cool. Quick turnaround. And then really like a day and a half, right? Because it was late. I want to say it was like late Friday. And then we had to turn around and be at OKC early Sunday. It was I remember it was Easter Sunday, and like we were playing like right when we got home from church. It was the Grizzlies were on, so it was like maybe a day and a half a rest really. But even then, man, lost by 50. I had the final score pulled up. I think it was 131 to 80 is what we lost. And that is not just like they're better than you. It's you didn't try. And that's what I got no respect for.
They rolled over.
Like, yeah. Like you laid down. You laid down. You don't lose by 50. I get OKC. They've been historically great all year. They are that. And they just won as a couple of hours ago. They did just win Game 7 against Denver and headed to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2016. So I do understand that the Oklahoma City Thunder are really good, but you don't lose by 51 points if you're just laying down. And that's what I got no respect for. I had to like turn it off. I was like, well, let's just eat lunch with the family. And I purposely picked a seat that was back to the TV because like I knew if I was going to be watching the screen, I was just going to get mad. So I'm like, I can't watch, like for my own mental health. And then game 2, also like not as bad, but 99 to 118. Then I was like, I'm going to regret it if I don't go to a game. Happen to be in town. Haven't been able to make many Grizzlies games over the past couple years. So was at game 3. Got nosebleeds. So ready. I was like, whatever. We kind of kept it a little bit close there in game 2. Game 1 is long gone. Like, let's get ready for game 3. Grizzlies. Scottie Pippen Jr. starts playing like Steph Curry in the beginning of game 3. It was insane. The Forum was rocking, man. It was electric in the Forum. And we're up 30, and Scottie Pippen gets another steal. Breakaway layup. He's got Lou Dort chasing him down. Gets the behind the back pass to John Morant. Lays it up. Gets clipped out of the air. And the oxygen just leaves the FedEx Forum. I have never seen anything like that in my life. I've never been a part of anything like that in my life, where it was just pandemonium, electric factory in the FedEx Forum. And at the snap of a finger, it was all gone. I've never seen anything like it in my life, because everybody's mind just went to, is the 20, I forget how much, I think it was a 28-point lead at the time, something like that. Is this lead big enough with like 2 minutes left to go in the first half? And it ended up not being enough. And that was the biggest thing, right? That one hurt worse than losing by 51 in game 1, right? Because you can tell yourself, like I just did, hey, you weren't trying when you lost by 51. But when you were up 30 and then you blew that lead because you can't win without your best player, and I hate it so much when people say the Grizzlies are better without John Morant. Clearly not.
No.
Clearly not. What game are you watching? You want to like throw out that record that everybody was talking about 3 years ago when they had a better record when he was injured, just because it was like the niche thing to say? Oh, dude, like apparently not, because they blew a 30-point lead. So that was gut-wrenching. That was heartbreaking. That was probably the most difficult moment in my Grizzlies fandom. And to make it all worse, I had like 2 12-year-old Thunder fans sitting behind us. They're like, go Chet! Go J-Dub! I was like, I really, like, please stop talking. Like, I'm honestly so proud of myself for the amount of self-control that I displayed in that moment.
Dude, I would have crashed out. If I was there and that happens, and then they start playing, FedEx Forum starts playing Hit This Groove song softly in the background as all these Thunder fans, I would have lost my mind. I immediately thought of you when the game ended. I was like, I cannot imagine what Caleb is going through right now, and I need a proof of life now, because that was just brutal.
I can't believe that I didn't crash out. Like, that is the most self-control that I have had to display in a long time. Leaving the FedEx Forum, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. The way that I had to leave FedEx Forum after game 3. And then I didn't even really watch game 4. I had to drive back to Indy during game 4, so I couldn't really watch anyways, but you're not going to win. I just remember like catching the last 5 minutes of that game when I stopped, and I remember texting you guys like, not going to win many playoff games when Scottie Pippen Jr. is the best player. Yeah. So with all that being said, we kind of wrapped up Oklahoma City series. Yep, wasn't good. They're on a different level than us. So my real question to you guys now, and I've been talking for a while, so I'll let you guys take the floor after this, but I got 3 questions for you guys. Can John Morant be the best player on a championship team? Can Jaren Jackson be the second best player on a championship team? Can Desmond Bane be the third best player on a championship team?
Should I go first?
Yeah, you can go.
I think yes to all 3. Like, I think we had to keep in mind that we were originally really ahead of schedule, and we're maybe on schedule. These guys are still like pretty young, and so I think like there's like at least 10 more years that have left, unless Morant keeps getting injured like this. We've never seen them all be healthy through a series. And if that's just how it is forever, then the answer is no. But I'm assuming that they can eventually pull it together and just not get injured. We've seen them be good together, excluding this year. This year kind of was, who knows what happened, but that was awful. So one thing I think that might be a limiting factor is coaching. I wasn't a fan of seeing Isolo stay, but I thought Mike Malone could have been a good acquisition. But regardless, the timeline is like still on our side. And then they don't even have to be if we're able to pull off this move that we've been talking about for forever. We have all the draft picks. We have all these players that more or less expendable. So maybe they could be like the second, third, fourth best player on a team if we end up getting like some crazy good player. So, it's not. I'm not the most down in the dumps as I was when it ended up happening. And I'm still really optimistic, as always. Usually I am.
So my take is, like, in a bubble, yes to all three. Like, yes, I think if you have those all three on the same team with a serviceable roster around them, yes. However, I think with the current state of the Grizzlies team, the way like the payroll is and just the assets we have, I don't think you can make a championship roster around all three right now in the coming years with just what we're working with. Like, if you keep Ja, Jaren, and Dez, I mean, this team needs a lot of improvement. Like, we need more shooting. We need defensive dogs. We need veteran leadership. You can't just trade random, like, you have to make salaries match at the end of the day or go sign some big names in free agency. So, like, if you take those three out of the equation, like, our biggest tradable contract is BC at $12.5 million. Then it's like the next one is going to blow your mind. It's John Conchar at $6.2 million. And then like Zach Edey, Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson. Like, we don't have a whole lot of big contracts that would be able to match with like if we go make a big move for somebody. Like so like if you eliminate those three guys, like I feel like it would be really, really hard in the near term to get our roster back up in shape to make deep playoff runs. Now, maybe they could pull a rabbit out of the hat and finally convince some bigger free agents to come join the Grizzlies. But even this year, like, looking at the free agency class, there's not a lot of great options. Like, unless you want to take a flyer on Kevin Durant for a couple of years, his final run, like, there's not a whole lot of the only free agents I would want to get, just looking at the list earlier, was like Naz Reid. I'm a big Naz Reid guy. Bobby Portis, glue guy, veteran, tough-minded, physical, or Ty Jerome. I know he struggled a little bit down the stretch, but he was unbelievable all year for the Cavs. But like, if you're trying to make a trade with this roster, it's like you're going to have to give up something. You can't it's not fantasy land where you get to keep all your best players and then add better players. You're going to have to give up someone.
Unless you're the Lakers.
And yeah, unless you're dealing with Nico Harrison, which maybe we do some deals with them. But I guess we can maybe pivot, Caleb, if you want to. Maybe I could lead this off because I have a little bit of stuff written down.
Let's do it.
I broke down a couple categories. Who are the must-keeps, in my opinion, on this team moving forward? And then who is trade bait? And then who is like the free agency decisions that like we'll kind of see, like on the fence, we'll see what happens. So I listed 5 guys in the must-keeps category for the long term of the Grizzlies. Ja, Jaren, Brandon Clark, Scotty, Jalen Wells. I didn't list Desmond Bane. I think he's the guy that we're going to have to, if we're going to be serious and get a bigger, which this is assuming the front office is thinking like me and they're going to go make bigger moves and go get like established, maybe not superstars, but like you're going to get actual like playoff contributor dogs who are proven.
Wait, say your list again.
Yeah, please.
Ja, Jaren, Brandon Clark. With the current like I believe in Brandon Clark when he's healthy. Scottie Pippen Jr., Jalen Wells, meaning the expendables. Meaning the expendables would be Desmond Bain, John Conchar, Zach Edey, and then the Vincent Gigi debacle. Meaning
on like 3 players.
This doesn't mean like I'm just keeping those 5 players. I'm saying like in my head, I wouldn't include those 5 in any trade.
I don't have an issue with any of the names. I don't have an I don't have an issue with any of the names that you gave. I kind of have an issue with the name that you didn't say. Are you thinking of the same thing, Luke?
He put on Jalen Wells over Desmond Bain. Who was say the list?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is not a fantasy land. Like we're gonna have to give up somebody, and that's why, like I said to your point, like I love Desmond Bain. I've been the first guy on the Desmond Bain train, but I'm looking like for us to be a championship level team, we have to surround, like we have to get actual guys. Desmond Bain.
What's your favorite player?
This is logic and reason over emotion.
What about Bernard?
He's also on my expendables list, and that's hard for me. That's hard for me to say, but he's on my expendables list. Caleb, after what I've witnessed this year, is as much as I love Desmond Bain, we're paying him. Next year, $36 million. $36 million next year. I love Desmond Bain. Looking at his playoff performance this year for Dez and the other historical years of him being on our team, can you justify paying him? Because we're gonna pay Jaren. Like whether you agree with it or not, we're gonna pay him out next year a lot of money.
Yeah.
Is it feasible to keep all 3 on the books for that much money? And do you think Desmond Bain has been worth his $36 million contract with what he's done in the playoffs? He's had a couple performances where he's shown up. But man, it's like his 3-point percentage keeps falling and falling. He keeps making turnovers, and I love him. I love him to death. But I think if we're listing on our team, if we want to get better and add players to our team that could help us winning, I think he's the guy we have to use as trade bait.
I got Desmond Bain numbers because I agree with you 100%. Desmond Bain numbers here in the 2024-2025 playoffs in 23.9 minutes per game. Desmond Bain averaged 17.5 points per game on 51.8 field goal percentage, 37.5 3-point percentage, 60% from the free throw line, 3 rebounds and 3 assists, almost 2 turnovers a game.
Yeah, and
you're paying that man. You said you paid him $36 million this year. You're going to pay him 36 next year. And he's going to make $39 million in 2026, 2027, 42 in 2027, 2028, and all the way up to 44 in 2028, 2029.
And yeah, and again, this is not me saying we need to get rid of him just to get rid of him. I think we have to make our roster better. And I think the only way we can make our roster better is we're going to have to give up somebody. And I just think with Dez, he's marketed as like our best shooter, like he's supposed to be like our best scoring option outside of like Ja, really. Even like Jaren surpassed him in like ability to score this year, like efficiency wise. If he's shooting 37% on the amount of volume he's taking, that's not good enough.
Like he looked abysmal.
Yeah, you want your corner. You want like your 4th and 5th guys who are corner swing option. Like you're swinging out to them. You want your supporting cast to be the one shooting like 37, 39%. It can't be him. So that's like, again, I don't know. I don't think we're going to do it, but like if we want to make a big swing for someone, he's going to be the guy we're going to have to let go. And I know it's probably controversial, even for me internally, because I love him. But has he shown you enough to like justify and I know he can get better, but like just from a financial perspective, if we keep him and we keep all 3, we're on the mark. Like we can get marginally better through trade and through free agent. Like we're not going to be able to do anything substantial, right? Like, and like unless you can pull up a math statistics guy and prove me wrong with stuff with contracts we could do. it just doesn't seem like we'd be able to make our roster like significantly better. And as you could see in the Thunders, like we need our roster to be significantly better. Whether it's, you know, getting an established center, getting more defensive-minded people, getting more shooting, people that are, you know, they get the ball and they're willing to shoot and they can make it at a high level. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like really, really disagree. I think like Bane has got to be someone we keep, especially over Brandon Clark and Jalen Wells. I think like if you want to talk about people like not caring, Bane is the one who cares the most. Yeah. He's like the one who was getting on everybody about not caring. And also like we need shooting. He didn't have the best year, but he's not someone I'm worried about. He's like whole career until like recently been amazing. And I think his numbers are decreased because our offense was just awful. And there's so many possessions where you just aimlessly like swing it with like not anything happening. And then okay, Bane, shoot it because we have to do something. And it ends up like just a terrible possession, awful shot because it's better than like just giving it to them straight away. But it ends up just having the same result almost. And like the guys like Brandon Clark, that was like one of the people you listed as the more tradable contracts. And Clark hasn't even been healthy since however long ago. Jalen Wells so just like came off his rookie year. He wasn't healthy for the playoffs either. I understand what you're saying about needing to make the roster better. We do need to get better. I think there's room for growth internally, and we're not as limited externally as what you're saying. I think he does get paid a lot of money. We are going to have to pay Jaren more money, but like we've seen teams before that have just like crazy like payouts. Like how did the Warriors like pay like all those 4 players? Like I don't know. And Pera is one of the most richest NBA owners now, I think. Like
but we're a small market. Do we trust that he's going to be willing to spend?
I think that he's like every time we get to like one of these guys, like Kleiman always says, like whatever I'm allowed to say under the rules about extending this person, we're going to extend them. Like I think that I don't worry about him being like cheap. Like he paid Chandler Parsons $1 zillion. So that's like I don't know, that's something there.
Is this the first time that you're admitting that was not a good deal?
I'd pay $93 million to see that Chandler Parsons exaggerated pump fake like a few more times. That was beauty. But
real quick, Luke, before you keep going, I'm just gonna ask you this question.
Yeah.
What if you're Zach Kleiman, what needs to change in this roster? Like what from your perspective, like rebuttal what do you think needs to be added to this roster, and who would you be willing to give up to make that happen?
Like first of all, like mindset, like motivation needs to change. I think coaching needs to like just set something at the beginning and then like stick to it. I think we need veterans. That doesn't always have to be someone who's like a star. Maybe we could get someone who's like, I don't know, like contributor, but not the biggest name. And then I would think that we would really benefit from adding another like really great player. I'd be willing to give up basically anybody besides the first 3. And Santi Aldama.
Oh gosh, Luke.
Stop.
Luke.
What? I didn't just list out these are the 5 like players we can't move. Jaj Aaron and then Conchar, Marvin Bagley, and then Jay Huff.
Man, I'm done with Santi personally, unless he commits to defense. It's embarrassing, his defense. I love what he does offensively. I know he's streaky offensively. I love his offense still. He's an option who can actually score for us at times. His defense is embarrassing. It's a complete joke. No effort, traffic cone. It's bad. Unless we like can magically in a bubble get defensive stars next to him to let him, you know, his errors hide, it's not possible.
I got faith in Santi. He can do it.
Have you seen his defense?
He tries.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Desmond Bane shoved him because of it.
Got into a fight.
He was in Desmond Bane's wedding.
Yeah, but
It
he
doesn't mean anything.
He's one of the guys we can, like. He's a free agent, so we may not like. We have to make a decision on if we're gonna pay him, but like,
Bring him back.
I don't know.
Let me see. I'm pulling up the stats. Yeah. No, I'm kind of done with Santi after those playoff performances. I'll tell you who we do need to get to answer your question, Eric. We need to get somebody that can dribble the ball because we didn't have anybody that could dribble a basketball once Ja Morant went down. Desmond Bane trying to dribble a basketball. I think I've seen deer skate on ice more delicately than Desmond Bane dribbling the ball when he's being guarded by Casey Wallace and Alex Caruso and Lou Dort. I mean, they wanted him to put the ball on the floor. Like, please dribble the ball so that I can take it from you and go get a dunk.
And even as much as I love Scotty and I put him on the don't trade list, he struggles a lot at times with turning the ball over as the main ball handler as well. So we need that. That is a great point. We need people who can literally dribble the basketball.
Oh, Santi Aldama was a -11 in game 2 on 4 of 11 shooting, 2 of 6 from 3. Trying to see if I can find other games on here. It was not good.
But then, like, once a month, he'll score like 30. But
so good.
His defense is just abysmal.
He always does great on the national games, I'm telling you.
And he only makes shots at home. And it's like a coin toss whether he's going to shoot well.
No, he's good.
No, he's not.
He's all right.
I think
he's better than Jalen Wells.
Jalen Wells was like, he hit a rookie wall. Like, he's a rookie. Like, that's not on him.
Rookie cliff.
That's on the front office for having to rely, like, building the roster in a way that we can get in the front office because I don't want to absolve them from anything. I think this season's directly related to them. For once, we need to put some heat on Kleiman.
Yeah, we do.
What else could you ask from Jalen Wells? He had a great rookie year. He struggled a lot down the stretch.
Struggled is nice. Struggled is nice.
Yeah, but
I don't know what else you want to ask. Trade up in the draft this year to get 2 more rookies going into.
No, I swear, if we trade up to get another rookie, I'm gonna crash out for real. If we trade up to get like some Big Ten player, or I don't know, some like D3 basketball player, I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out because they're gonna play well in November and December and January, and then they're gonna not know how to shoot at basketball, and then we're gonna play in 30 minutes in a playoff game, and they're not gonna know how to dribble a basketball, and then Anthony Edwards or somebody like that is just gonna eat him. Like it's
I'm sick of every year hearing, and Jenkins did this every day, and he'd be like, "Yeah, we're a young team, we're developing, like we're doing all the right thing." Like, no, stop. We can't be a developing young team every year. Like we only have a finite window that Ja, Jaren, and Dez can be the core of this team and like in their prime, like ready to win championships or at least be competitive and win series and be a threat. And no, we can't be this young developing team every year and keep bringing in 3 rookies and bragging about how well they look in summer league and they play well on random Tuesdays against the Hornets and Bulls. But then when we get in winning basketball situations, we don't have veterans who have been through the wars, been through the battles, will hold each other accountable. To Luke's point, the coaching is a big part of it, of holding the players accountable. We haven't had that. No, none of our players feared anybody. None of our players seemed like they were held accountable for their bad play or their lack of effort. Like, that's a big problem.
I've got to take.
Uh-oh.
I think that the biggest detriment right now for the Grizzlies is the lack of leadership from Ja Morant. and the poor character that he displays. And I don't want to dive too deep into that. I don't want to get caught in the weeds with that argument, but I think that's the biggest thing because I saw it firsthand. That team feeds directly off of John Morant. He tries, they try. He pouts, they pout.
That's a good point.
And I think that is the biggest detriment right now.
Yeah,
until John Morant has some maturity and grows up and maybe takes some accountability and responsibility for his actions. And again, I keep saying that I don't want to go too deep into that argument, but I think that would be the turning point. I think
that's a fair point. And that's not saying you want to trade him, because I know there's a lot of people on Twitter that'll be like, "Oh, you want to trade Ja? You're one of those idiots." I think that's a fair criticism of Ja. And we saw during the regular season, he would be complaining to the refs the whole game and pouting that he's not getting foul calls, and he just won't get back on defense, and it just sets the tone in a bad way. So I agree 100% with that.
I think he's a superstar that Memphis can identify with, and I think he's great for the city when he's not being an idiot. And I think, yeah, like I said, I think if he can have some maturity and take responsibility for his actions, and develops into that leader, I think that's the biggest hindrance to this franchise. Truly, I think yes, roster, front office. I think that has some things to do with it. Health, he needs to stay healthy just in general. But if I'm putting on a chalkboard ranking everything, I think I'd probably put John Morant's leadership number one.
I agree with the point. I wouldn't put it number one, but I think it's definitely one of the bigger contributors to what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
I'm fully in pitchforks and torches to Kleiman's office and wanting answers. Not fire him or anything, but man, we've absolved him of a lot the last couple of years and tried to push narratives or other reasons why things weren't working out, blaming players. I mean, Jenkins got outed. I was personally fine with, but again,
not when that's your replacement.
And we can get into that. But ever since the Kyle Anderson and D'Anthony Melton trade, and then trading away Steven Adams, which how stupid does that look now, looking at how well he played for the Rockets down the stretch. It's and you do the Marcus Smart trend, you give up Tyus Jones for nothing, basically, because the whole Marcus Smart debacle. They've been ice cold recently, and their only claim to fame has been hitting these random second-round draft picks. Recently, we need answers, and I'm kind of sick of him going up on the podium and saying all these fancy buzzwords and trying to act smart because he went to Northwestern. And we need some accountability. And I'm still a Kleiman guy. I still believe in him. And his exit interview sounded like he was pissed off, and he gave himself some blame and mentioned some things that they're going to take a look in the mirror this offseason. But he does say that every year to an extent. It wasn't as severe as this year, but I don't know. To me, it's the front office is the biggest problem. It's just they're stuck in this continuous loop of we're in this young developing team. No, we're not. That was in 2021. We had D'Anthony Melton and Kyle Anderson, and we were really up and coming, and we were the ones hunting because we were just young and fun and a great basketball team that worked together. We had a young coach, young players. It was the next gen Grizz that everyone could rally around. That was 4 or 5 years ago. Since then, you've gotten rid of guys like Kyle Anderson, D'Anthony Melton, Slow-Mo, Steven Adams,
Grayson Allen.
Yeah. And now you're trotting out John Conchar, Jake LaRavia. I know he's gone. Then
Marvin Bagley.
Marvin, there's just a lot of bleh on this team right now. And the biggest mistake that Kleiman admitted was that he had the utmost trust in Vince Williams this year. that he'd be able to fill that role. And boy, oh boy, did Vince Williams not play well when he came back from his injury. And who knows if long-term that's just because of the injury this year and he'll be fine next year, or will we ever see the Vince Williams that we saw in flashes last year? Who knows? But boy, was that a swing and a miss too. Was trusting that he could be the guy to come in and start. He was terrible, got played off the floor, and that's just another example of develop internally, draft rookies, get young, get younger. We're always developing. We're always young. No, throw that garbage out the window. Take a look in the mirror and make this team better by going to get established players. That's where I'm at with the blame game.
Yeah, agreed. They are really good at getting those second rounders, though. You have to admit.
I mean, where's David Roddy? Is David Roddy in Guangdong? Like, what is he doing right now? Like, come on.
Zaire Williams, actually, he went in the second round. He was first round, but
yeah, he was pretty high. I think that like Grayson Allen kind of had to get moved for Desmond Bane to like go up.
Yeah, but he's just like, and again, this is going to go back to Luke Kennard. I love Luke Kennard, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it just got to a point with him. He doesn't even want to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
That's like telling an artist, like a painter, that he doesn't want to paint. Like, that's all he does is 3-pointers. He would get the ball and just pass it hot potato. And it was just baffling because it's a contract year for him. I don't know why he was doing that. He just lost his confidence, or I don't know what. But Grayson Allen was a guy, swing. He'd always shoot like 40%, close to it. He'd always shoot, was not afraid to shoot. And you need those guys around the core group of the team that we have right now. Teams are going to try to clog the paint on Ja, like the Thunder do, send bodies at him, and force anybody else to beat you. And for the existence of my life, the Grizzlies have not had somebody that could knock down an open shot. Luke Kennard does in spurts off the bench, but Grayson Allen was one of those guys that could hit shots.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all want to hear this, but I think like another person I just thought of is I don't know if any of this disaster would have happened if we had still had Dylan Brooks on the team.
I agree.
Like as bad as like some things were, like this, he would not have let
this happen.
No.
I agree.
This is I just have game 2. Game 2 against the Thunder. That box score pulled up. Desmond Bane 37 minutes, Jaren Jackson 35 minutes, Seki 26 minutes, John Morant 40 minutes, Scottie Pippen 31 minutes, Santi Aldama 30 minutes, John Conchar 10 minutes, Marvin Bagley 11 minutes, Luke Kennard 17 minutes, Jay Huff DNP, Gigi Jackson DNP, Lamar Stevens DNP, Vince Williams DNP.
And just to put the icing on the cake, we were paying John Conchar $6.2 million last year to do that. And we were paying Marvin Bagley $12.5 million. Even though I did like the Marvin Bagley experience a little bit, I was intrigued by what I saw at times. But like if you're paying John Conchar has been paid to be a bench rider, like a Make-A-Wish roster spot for the last 5 years. Like when are we ever going to get rid of him?
You're not going to win many playoff games when you're playing John Conchar 10 minutes.
No. And that was Kleiman, again, made a decision to give Conchar a contract. And he's making $6 million a year to do what? He hasn't been a actual part of this basketball team ever, right? It's just mind-boggling. Some of the stuff that we've done is just, man, like that's why I'm like, I'd love a Naz Reid on this team. I'd love a Bobby Portis. Like, just go get some established players that you will never have to question their effort or their physicality.
Yeah.
There might be games where they're not hitting their shots, fine. But just we need some guys that will be a locker room positive, that will hold guys accountable. And then on their court, you never have to worry about this guy showing up one night or not. That there'll be a steady presence effort-wise from this team. And that's why just, man, watching the TA documentary, and, reliving the grit and grind days, man, we don't realize how good we had it. We had like 7-8 straight years of consistent just grit and grind and effort and teamwork, and teams feared the Grizzlies. Like, they didn't want to play us because we were so tough. And that's the type of team, like Kleiman alluded to, like, that he knows the city wants and, like, gets around, gets behind. And that's just not the product that the Grizzlies put out this year, and honestly the last couple of years.
Yeah. Now, I agree. Luke said that his laptop died, so that's why he got booted. No, it's yeah, it's just a subpar roster, which really stinks. Like you already covered it, but the giving up Marcus Smart for nothing and then betting on Vince Williams or Jalen Wells. I know Jalen Wells had a scary injury that kept him out for the rest of the season, but that looks like the worst decision. I mean, that's got to go down in the Grizzlies archives as like one of the all-time worst. I mean, that's almost up there. I don't think anything's going to pass Chandler Parsons, but I mean, that one's in that vicinity.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to move on to something else. So
just real quick, I was just going to say, like, an argument I've seen some people make is like, well, he went after a guy like Draymond Green. He tried to go get Kevin Durant. And those statements can be true, but we didn't get him. Like, you could say all you want that our front office was trying to get other guys, then go get them. Like, at the end of the day, we didn't. At the end of the day, we're at the trade deadline. We didn't add anybody. We subtracted, and we subtracted one of the only veterans we had on this team in Marcus Smart.
Yes.
We had to rely upon a rookie in the playoffs.
That's why I said I don't care what Marcus Smart shoots from the field.
Right.
He's gonna get in the locker room and he's gonna throw a chair and he's gonna be like, "What the are you guys doing?
Yep.
Somebody play." Like, I don't care, dude. Like, there's just nobody on our team.
Call me crazy. The most insane person on our roster is Cam Spencer. And that's why I wanted him to get some minutes in the playoffs, just because I know how much he cares about winning. Him playing at UConn under Danny Hurley.
Right.
That guy, like, even Desmond Bain said, that's the most psychotic guy I've ever met. Like, he cares so much about winning. He will do anything possible to do so. We need some guys like that in the mix.
We need that, yeah.
Desperately.
Yeah, like you said, I'm tired of reading those Bleacher Report and ESPN notifications. Grizzlies trying to acquire OG Anunoby. Grizzlies trying to acquire Mikal Bridges. Grizzlies trying to acquire Kevin Durant. Like,
try.
Try. Grizzlies trying to acquire Jimmy Butler. All these names. Like, come on. Like, we have assets. Like, we have tradable contracts. I guess, at the end of the day, some people just don't want to come to Memphis. But, I mean, I think if they just came to our locker room, and can impact winning. But we got to get some winners. I agree. I would love Bobby Portis. He's a champion. Who cares about winning? He's a psycho. He's going to get up in somebody's grill. He's actually going to stand. What really bothered me, man, is like when Lou Dort clipped Ja Morant in the air. And, like, everybody in the stadium, like, everybody in FedEx Forum, like, stood up. Be like, that just, like, that was really cool to see. Like, the whole city of Memphis was like, hey, bro, like, come on. Like, what are we doing? But nobody on the court was doing anything to help Ja Morant. I was like, what are we doing? Why is everybody in the crowd caring more about defending Ja Morant? Hey, bro, you don't clip our best player. Maybe it was unintentional, but, like, at first glance, it didn't really look like that. So, like, what are we doing? Like, you're clipping our best player. And why is everybody in the crowd? Why is everybody in the crowd ready to stand up and put hands up, but nobody on the court is? How does that make sense?
Totally agree.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. We need a Bobby Portis. I like Naz Reid. I'm not familiar with the other names out in free agency, but I do like those names. I think those would be great acquisitions for sure.
It's dire times, man. It's just crazy thinking about a couple years ago, riding high after beating the Timberwolves, being competitive against the Warriors with that team, despite some injuries, and then projecting out what we thought we'd be getting with like doing in the playoffs today, and just we've regressed.
Right.
And
this is what you start to worry about now, because first year first year John Morant losing the bubble against that Timberwolves team, or not Timberwolves, Trailblazers team. Carmelo Anthony made a couple corner threes in the bubble, knocks out of that play-in game. Won a play-in game next season against the Warriors, lost the first round in 5 against the Jazz. Cool, you got some playoff experience. Next season, you win a playoff series against a young Timberwolves team as well. You lose to the eventual champion Golden State Warriors. Okay. Next season, now we're losing to the Lakers. Probably could have won that game or won that series, right? That was pretty disappointing, right? Had one of the better regular seasons in Grizzlies history. Second seed in the West for second straight year. You don't even have a playoff series win to show for it. Don't even make it out of the first round. Next season after that, it was a wash. Whole team got sent to the hospital with injuries. This season, just another disappointment, right? Second seed, I read a post that it was like Grizzlies fell from the second seed to the 8th seed in like 34 days or something like that, like a little over a month. We fell from the second seed to the 8th seed.
And that's literally what it felt like at the game you were at. Was we had a huge lead, Ja gets hurt, and the whole rest of the game we're just holding on for dear life, and we just didn't hold on. We fell all the way from the second seed to the play-in, and then was just continued just disaster the rest of the way.
Yeah. Something else that I feel like we need to talk about is Jaren Jackson Jr.'s performance in the playoffs, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Because he did not play like the second best player of a championship team, to reference the question I was prompting earlier. When you're getting locked up by Alex Caruso, if I had $1 for every time I was yelling, feed the ball to Jaren in the post against the guy who's a foot shorter than him and Alex Caruso. But not only did Alex Caruso hold his own, I would say he dominated Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, he did.
It made him look like an idiot out there. Like, how can you not get a bucket against a guy who's a foot shorter than you? How are you going to get how is he going to get better position? Like, I had to, like, if I had $1 for every time, I was like, fight for position, Jaren. Like, what are you doing? Why? You have to make them pay for guarding you with the guy that's a foot shorter than you. And that was maybe the most frustrating thing. I was like, why is our second best player looking like a deer in the headlights right now against a guy who's a foot shorter than him?
Yeah, it's a couple things, I'd say. I mean, first, and Jaren's gotten better at this, but just like asserting his physicality, like he's gotten stronger over the years, and you've been able to tell that. But there's still just times where and I think it probably just comes down to his foul trouble. He's probably so in his head about trying to stay on the court and not being foul trouble that even when a guy like Alex Caruso's on him, just because of how aggressive Caruso is, Jaren's probably scared of, backing down into him and getting a cheap offensive foul call. But it's like, dude, you have to find a way. Like you said, he's a foot taller than him. You have to find a way to either score or impact winning. And it seemed like he was either throwing up bricks or turning the ball over in that spot. And to his credit, I mean, not to his credit, but like there were definitely weaknesses on the Grizzlies roster around him that didn't put Jaren in great spots to succeed. Whether you can say coaching or just the pure talent around, or lack thereof of talent around him at times. I don't know if Jaren has kind of risen to the occasion the last 2 years of he's one of the premier guys on our team now offensively, but I still don't think he's in a playoff setting. He's clearly not ready for that yet, although he should be. I think it's probably mentally and just physically him. His problem is when teams game plan him. When a coach sits down and just makes a plan we're going to show bodies at him, and they want him to get in foul trouble, and they want him to take shots that he's not comfortable with, making sure he just doesn't get to his left hand and having to put the ball on the floor. And that's when Jaren's turnover prone and then is ineffective. And so I agree. I still am super impressed with his progression over the years. Every year he's gotten better. Like, seriously, every single year he's gotten better. And so I'm a Jaren believer, unlike a lot of people for some reason. But that was a huge reason why we struggled so much against the Thunder, is just because of the lack of Jaren Jackson Jr. impacting winning. And if he's supposed to be your second best option on a playoff team and he's a no-show the whole series basically because he's getting schemed out, you're too good of a player to get schemed out of a game. Like, I'm sorry. I watched Nikola Jokic get schemed out. Teams attempt to scheme him out of games. They've thrown everything possible at Nikola Jokic, and he still finds ways to impact winning. So that's the next step in Jaren's development is, hey, man, teams are going to throw bodies at me. Teams are going to do crazy stunts to try to not let me get to my spots. I need to win anyways. I need to find a way anyway.
Is Luke back?
What's up? I'm on my
Super
phone now.
weird.
My laptop's taking too long to charge.
Technical difficulties here, but we always persevere here in the Axcast.
Yeah.
That's right.
Industry-leading technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, to answer my question that I asked you guys, can Ja Morant be the best player on a championship team? Can Jaren be the second best player? Can Dez be the third? For Ja, I think so. He's a gamer, and the big question mark there is, can he stay healthy? But he has a track record of showing up in big-time games, and I was watching him take over that Game 3. He was the best player. I know it was only for a half, and it was only one game. Because game 1 and 2 were a wash, but Game 3, that first half, he was the best player on the floor. And I know they haven't announced season MVP yet, but everybody's saying it's supposed to be SGA, and Ja Morant was the best player on the floor, and that includes the supposed MVP. So, if you're ranking, I think that the market has kind of been reset a little bit, because you look at last year's championship team and Jaylen Brown ended up being the best player on that team, right? Won finals MVP. Jaylen Brown, if you had asked at the beginning of that playoff series or at the beginning of that postseason, can Jaylen Brown be the best player on a championship team? You're probably not saying yes. At the same time, you do kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, because I think that Celtics bench is like the greatest supporting cast maybe I've ever seen in a championship team. Like, it allowed these superstars to be, yes, they were great, but like it did not require the greatest expectation of them, because that Celtics supporting cast was so good. So with all that being said, it's all relative on, can a certain player be the best player on a championship team? It's all relative based off of the supporting cast that they have around them. So yes, I think Ja could be the best player on a championship team, but just like anybody, it's going to be dependent on how good the supporting cast he has around him. And it's going to have to be it's going to have to be definitely an above average supporting cast. Jaren, I love Jaren. He's been my favorite player, because there's nothing on a basketball court that he can't do. But I'm really starting to question it, because he is starting to develop a track record now of not really performing come playoff time. And like you said, Eric, when teams are game planning for him, when they're showing two, when they're double teaming him, he's got a track record now of not really showing up. I remember he had like one good game against the Lakers in that Lakers series, but there's not many playoff games that you can point to. In how many playoff series have we had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. We've been in 5 playoff series, if I'm counting correctly. And out of those 5, there's not really many playoff games that you can point to of Jaren and say, that was a great game. That was what a second best player of a championship team plays like. So,
deer in the headlights.
Deer in the headlights.
I
So
think
I'm really
sorry.
skeptical of that. What are you gonna say, Natch?
I think like those are like valid concerns. Like especially rebounding for him is like always has been like really like suspect. But like there's like certain games I think where like we just can't get it going, and the only thing that we can actually rely on is like Jaren Jackson in the post. And I think if he made like a more concerted effort to like actually go in the post instead of like trying to shoot these trailing threes like all the time, like he would be a lot better player. And if he made a more concerted effort to like actually rebound the ball, because he's like one of the more complete players I think out of like the three. Like he's like defensive player of the year and like very good offensively when he is in that mode. So playoff concerns valid, I think. But I don't think he's been terrible. I think like he's had like some good stuff. So I don't know. Like nobody did good on our team in these playoffs.
And I think also a point to defend is probably the reason why when teams scheme against him, he can't do anything is because the supporting cast outside of him, John Dez, hasn't been able to provide anything.
Yeah.
That 2021 team where we'd get some value from Steven Adams and Slow-Mo and Kyle Anderson. And
did you say Slow-Mo and Kyle Anderson as two different people?
What did I? Melton. I met Mel. I met D-Melt and Slow-Mo. Like, we haven't had like anybody be able to contribute anything consistently outside of our core. Like, we have like fill-in guys that'll occasionally do something, but teams are like, hey, we're just going to throw all the bodies in the world at Jaren and make anyone else try to beat us. And we just haven't been able to do that. And if we had someone that could keep other teams honest, then I think Jaren would be able to benefit from, yeah, go ahead, double team me. I'll go swing out to Grayson Allen or someone else that'll knock down an open three real quick, right? And I don't know. It's just, I believe in Jaren. It's a valid point to bring up, Caleb, about his playoff concerns, and that's why I similarly brought up Desmond Bane's playoff concerns myself.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't like doing this, but these are the hard questions that we have to. This is looking ourselves in the mirror and asking these questions. And I don't like to do it. I love Jaren. I think he's been great for the franchise. Obviously, defensive player of the year. They haven't announced All NBA, have they? I don't think they've announced All NBA.
I think so.
It sounds like it's going to come down to between him and Halliburton for a spot on third team All NBA this year. So a decent shot that Jaren makes an All NBA team. But I've got his postseason log here, and according to Basketball Reference, he's played 27 postseason games, and the numbers are just they're not great. 5 turnovers in game 4, 3 in game 3, 3 in game 1, 12 points, 22 points, 26 points, 4 points. He only had one game above 20 points in that Lakers series. It was a 31-point game, but that was the only one that he broke 20 in. The Warriors series only had more than 22 points once. In the Wolves series, never scored more than 18 points. He had 12, 16, 6, 7, 12, and 18 points against the Wolves. And in the Jazz series, 21 was his best. He had 7, 16, 9, 21, and 15 against the Jazz. You've got not a super lengthy, but you've got enough of a track record here of like, this is what this guy is come playoff time. And it's one of the tough decisions you're going to make. He'd be a valuable trade asset is all I'll say.
It'll be interesting.
Jaren.
Well, they traded Luka.
Jaren's better than Luka.
They're saying stop. They're saying
Eric said that I can't even picture Luka Doncic as someone named Luka Doncic being good in the NBA.
That is hand up my by far worst sports take ever. So go ahead and bring that one up. I fully have been transparent about how bad it was, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut about the rest of what I'm about to say. But I could be convicted. Like low key, Nico. Like the end of the year in the playoffs, Luka kind of was a traffic cone on defense. It was probably a net negative, but
They were in the finals.
He's still unbelievable.
Don't try to hedge your. Yeah.
I hear the Mavericks have like an assistant GM opening. You could try to.
I'll apply.
Yeah. After that list of 5 untradeable.
Look. Do you agree? Other than Bane, do you disagree with my list?
I disagree with Clark and Wells' inclusion.
Same.
So of all the young guys, my projections, I think Jalen's the best guy on the best of our young guys projecting out in the future. He's a rookie. BC, he's been the most steady playoff. Yes, his injury concerns obviously are a problem. But when he played, he's been our most consistent bench player in the playoffs.
Like everybody on our team gets so injured.
Yeah, right. That's why I don't put that against him. Obviously, it's not great, but he performed in the playoffs for multiple seasons and multiple years for us in the playoffs. So, he's a guy that has proven to me as a Memphis Grizzly, you can do something in the playoffs. You can be relied upon to add value to the team in the playoffs. So that's why I included him in the list, even though he does have the most tradable salary. We'll see what we decide on him. But.
Is he even going to be the same player after these injuries?
He really hasn't been.
I thought he was better than I expected him to be post injury this year.
I don't think he's been the same player since he tore his Achilles in Denver.
Yeah, but he was still a positive. We missed him greatly down the stretch this year. In my opinion. Luke
gone again. Yeah. I'm really torn on Brandon, because it's tough. He is one of those players that will actually play and try. We were mentioning guys like Dylan Brooks. You're never going to question their effort. Marcus Smart, never going to question their effort. Brandon Clark would also be added to that list. You're never going to question his heart and how much he cares. So I do understand that point. I do think he is not the same player since he's torn his Achilles. The balance is not there. He's not able to finish those lobs. He's not really an above the rim player anymore, which is sad to see. I think he's still obviously, he's still going to be able to make a career for himself. He's still going to be able to play double digit years in the league, I think. But, as far as those highlight reels, posterizing people and those Ian Mahimi, get out the way, calls from Brevin, I think we're not going to hear too many of those, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So that is Beale Street. Beale Street Flippers.
Beale Street Flippers.
No way.
I thought my laptop was back, but it wasn't. My bad.
What more names can Luke come up with?
I didn't. This name feature is really nice. It's kind of funny.
We've had Super Grizz, Natch, Beale Street Flippers.
The Blue Bunch.
The Blue Bunch.
The Blue Bunch. Red Panda.
The Amazing Slottic.
Gary Gowen in the Memphis Grizzlies house.
That would have been so better.
Oh. Well,
I guess so. I don't know what else topic-wise you had. I know we haven't really gotten into Isolo yet. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was going to mention. Other than that, that's the only thing I got.
I'll let you guys go first.
Okay. Grizz line.
Wow. Where are your sunglasses? They're always wearing sunglasses when they're banging on the drums.
I guess this name isn't right.
Yeah, Luke, Tomas Isolo.
Oh, yeah, I can talk. Get him out of here. We don't need him.
Facts. Retweet.
They brought him in and hyped him up to be this great like offensive mind, and I can't imagine like they made it out to be like Jenkins was holding him back, but like it wasn't any better when he left. I think we're in for like a really rough season again if this is. Make whatever moves you will. I think that this is a limiting factor right now, and we need a better coach than this.
Do they lose by 50 in Finland too? Is that how it goes in Finland? And you just don't call timeouts when you're getting avalanched. You're on a 20-5 run, and you're getting blown out, and the crowd is just going nuts, and you don't call timeouts to rekindle your team. Is that how it goes in Finland? And that's how you're an offensive mind genius? Yeah, I don't.
So I agree with all that. I'll say two things. Two things could be true at the same time. All those concerns that we saw from him in all the timeout debacle, the challenge debacles, and then the ATO plays, all the draw plays he had to do down the stretch. Bad, very bad.
Yeah, let's guard Kevin Durant with Desmond Bane.
Very bad.
That's a great idea.
I will say I think it's a little unfair for him to be completely judged based off what he was asked to do. He was given a falling knife dumpster fire and was asked to come fill in and be competitive against a team that is now going to be in the Western Conference Finals. I think both those statements can be true because although I'm giving him credit for that, like you can't expect him to do well. Those things that he did wrong are controllable. It doesn't matter how much preparation and the team he was given, his out of timeout calls could have been better. Like all of his mistakes weren't something that were directly related to the team. And Luke is having a laugh attack.
Luke's just dying.
Kleiman clearly had his mind made up on this when he brought him in initially, and I don't think he judged him on the sample size. But I wholeheartedly agree with all the concerns you guys pointed out. I do think I'm curious to see what it looks like when he has a full offseason to prepare and do it his way. But to your point, Luke, earlier, Michael Malone won an NBA championship and was sitting there to bring in. And I don't know why you could have not brought him in and kept Isolo as his top assistant. That would have been perfect because you still have your guy in Isolo that you trusted and brought in from Finland, whatever, who claims this mastermind, but you bring in an NBA champion coach. So I agree that was probably the most obvious, better move that we should have done. But I'm concerned, but I'm not like as concerned as you guys are about it.
Trash.
Trust is misplaced. Trust in Coach Ichilo misplaced maybe for Master Yoda.
I love that
third move.
Yep, get him out.
Yeah.
Get him out.
I remember that quote, Luke. That was a good
Yeah, I don't even trust you at all.
No. There's nothing that you can tell me that'll convince me that he can Tomas Isolo be the coach of a championship team
in Finland.
So I'll put on the record, May 18th, I'll buy a half of a share of Isolo stock just because it's at a low point. Can I take a half a share?
Sure.
Just get out.
All right.
Take them all.
All right.
It's already a quarter share.
It's worth an investment. Why not?
Can you see like the banner, Tomas Isolo, NBA championship winning coach?
Yeah, if you can not say like Luka Doncic, I can't picture someone with his name.
Let's do the old Colin Cowherd. Like close your eyes. Who do you see?
Colin Cowherd is so annoying.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's
really
he's the king of awful takes. But yeah, when he did like the thing of like Jason Tatum, what do you see when you close your eyes? I'll do the same thing, but with Tomas Isolo. I see when I close my eyes and I think of Tomas Islo, I think of a team on a 30-4 run, and the Grizzlies are getting the brakes beaten in, and he's just standing there, just
doing the Darvin Ham pose.
just y'all figure it out. Y'all figure it out. All right. Oh, they stole it again, and now the crowd is going insane. Okay, well, let's just maybe try to dribble. We can't do that. So, yeah, I'm good.
I think the summary of this Axe cast and probably the end of season Axe cast of the last 5 years is, hey, we're in a critical off season where we need to make changes to be serious, and nothing's gonna happen. Unfortunately, unless we jinx it in a good way.
Yeah.
Well, to close out our Axe cast, 'cause I think that was the last topic. Unless you guys had anything else Grizzlies related.
No.
Two things that I want to do in closing. We do have our conference finals set in the East. My Eastern team, the Indiana Pacers, going up against the Knicks, rematch of like 2000. So that'll be entertaining on the East side, and then the West. As of a couple hours ago, it's OKC and Minnesota again. So I want y'all's finals prediction, and then we're going to look back at our Eastern and Western Conference standings predictions. And I told you guys to save them for when we revisit these at the end of the year. So I want to come back and let's see how we did.
I am oddly high on the Pacers. I think you can argue they've been the best team in the playoffs so far. But I just think the Thunder Nuggets series was the finals at this point. Just because as much as I like the Timberwolves, they're gonna swarm that team, and the Thunder or the T-Wolves are gonna have to get like insane production out of like the Jaden McDanielses of the world and the DiVincenzos, and they're not gonna let Ant just run all over them. The Thunder are too good defensively. They're gonna need another Phantom Julius Randle series. So I think it would be hard for the T-Wolves to win. So I advance the Thunder. And then in the East, the Pacers are just like team of destiny, it seems like. Like they've just been unbelievable. They play with so much heart. They run up and down the court. They make shots. They have a lot of – and the Knicks, like, they're good. The Knicks are good, don't get me wrong. But I just trust the Pacers more, which is a crazy statement to make. I wouldn't say that statement before the playoffs. But just seeing what I've watched through 2 series is I trust the Pacers more than the Knicks. So I'm going to advance the Pacers. And then in a Pacers Thunder, I think the Thunder win in 6. So I don't know. It's a very weird postseason that I did not really see coming. I thought it was a Cavs Celtics collision course and that winner would win it all, but boy was I wrong.
Yeah. I think I really want the Pacers to win it all if they can, but I don't think they will. If I was to actually try to predict it, I think it'll be the Thunder and the Knicks. And the Thunder are going to win, but I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, same as you, Luke. I want to root for my Eastern Conference team and the Pacers. I'm really going to try to go to an Eastern Conference Finals game while I'm here. But I don't know why. I just don't trust Halliburton. And it's crazy too because I was watching live when he hit that step back game winner against the Cavs. That was crazy.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have even had that chance to do that too.
Yeah. That was a colossal meltdown. But yeah, that was I don't know why. I just don't trust. I trust Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and Cat and
Cat.
What's that?
Zesty Cat.
Yeah.
Cat. Not you getting to the rim. I trust that roster more than I do, Halliburton and Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard and Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner. Like if I'm just lining up, first best player through sixth, seventh best player, like I take that and like I think the Tibbs versus Rick Carlisle coaching match is going to be fun to watch, just to get to see like can Tibbs' strategy of like never resting any of his guys and versus like I think Rick Carlisle is probably like the last of a dying breed of like these old man coaches who like takes no crap, not a player's coach type thing. Him and Tibbs. So that'll be fun. I do think the Knicks are going to win, and the Mecca is going to go crazy, I think. And yeah, same with you, Eric. I think OKC Denver was basically the finals because I think there was a path for the Nuggets to beat the Thunder, right? It's Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray go crazy, which that's feasible, right? But I don't really see the same formula working for the Timberwolves, right? Like that margin of what Anthony Edwards is going to have to be. Like I can see the Thunder, just throwing, here's Lou Dort, here's Alex Caruso, here's Kason Wallace, here's all these defenders. Yeah, have fun trying to score 40 against these defenders, right? As opposed to Nikola Jokic, like, I like the chances of Nikola Jokic single-handedly winning a series more than Anthony Edwards at this point in time. So, yeah, I agree. I think Thunder, Knicks. I don't know. I think, dude, Luke's going out again. I think Thunder are going to win, which I guess can help our case, from the Grizzlies' perspective, losing to the eventual champions if that does happen.
We're the king of that. We lost to the Warriors. They won it all.
Yep. But, kind of a blessing in disguise, right? Because there's no fooling ourselves, at the end of this postseason, right? We got to the end of the season. There's nobody that we wanted to play. It's like you got to play somebody good. You got to go through somebody to win a championship. And, these are the type of teams you got to play. So,
right.
All right. You guys have y'all's East-West predictions pulled up?
Yes, I do. Quick change.
I don't know what happened to my laptop. It keeps dying.
Quick change.
Quick change is here now. I think like these playoffs have been really exciting, and they will be like the finish.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like the teams like are not the difference in teams is not that big as it used to be. Like it actually feels like it's within like winnable range, and it sucks that like this year we had like the worst team we've had the past 5.
Because and it just seems like a different sport than the regular season. Like how much guys are carrying and scheming and clocking in on defense. Like you're not seeing these 130-point games. It's like 88, 86 with a couple minutes left, which is fun to watch. Just the physicality of it. Refs letting them play.
Agreed.
For real. Yeah, it's so much more fun when it's not just Warriors, Cavs every year.
Yeah.
I can go. I got mine pulled up. So, in the West, I had OKC. So I got that one right. Mavs, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Grizz, Suns, Lakers, Rockets, Spurs, Kings, Warriors.
Yeah, I had Thunder, Mavs, Lakers, Grizz, T-Wolves, Kings, ouch. Suns, out. Nuggets, Spurs, Rockets.
I cannot pull mine up because my laptop is dead right now.
Wow.
I know, I'm sorry.
Convenient.
But I can assure you that I was 100% correct.
I just remember that Luke was worse than ours. So
yeah, that's all I remember.
Even though he tried to copy my standings.
Every year he tried to copy my standings.
No.
You like peek at my screen.
No, I don't.
Yes.
So I think my biggest swing and a miss was the Mavs because I put them at 2. But to be fair,
Who could have predicted that?
Yeah. So I'm really chalking that one up to like not my fault. I put the Timberwolves at 4. They ended up at 6. I put the Grizz at 5. They ended up at 8. Suns I put at 6. That's a yikes because they ended up at 11. Lakers I put at 7. They were 3. Rockets I put at 8. They were 2. Spurs I put at 9. They were 13. Kings I put at 10, and they were 9. So not horrible. I think my biggest swing and a miss was Suns.
I'm pretty sure I got it all right.
Yeah, I think you didn't. I think you're lying.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Well, actually, it's all recorded, so we can go back and just find out.
Oh, we'll dig it up.
I doubt that you'll have the motivation for that.
You're right. You're right.
We'll let someone on our detailed data analyst.
Yeah. One of the Castonians. That's what we call our fans. They can go dig it up. Eric, let me hear the East.
I had Celtics, Cavs, Knicks, pretty good. Then I had Sixers, ouch, Magic, Bucks, Heat, Hawks, Pacers, Nets. So, yeah, I was big on the Cavs, Celtics. Had the Knicks high too, but missed out on the Pacers big time.
Mm. Where'd you have Sixers?
4. Ouch.
Yeah. My guy, Paul George, not doing good.
Daryl Morey was just destroying that organization single-handedly.
Yeah, for real. I had Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, Pacers. So, like, a pretty solid 4. Those are all – I had the top 4 all correct, just in somewhat different order. But then I go Heat at 5. They were 8. I had Sixers at 6, so that's a big yikes. I had Bulls at 7, which I should have known that the Bulls were going to repeat their yearly tradition of being in the play-in, so I don't know why I didn't do that. Bucks I had at 8. They were 5. Magic I had at 9. They were 7. Hawks I had at 10. They were 9. So I got that one right. The Hawks, again, yearly tradition of being in the play-in, and then Nets I had 11. They were 12. So honestly, not too bad. It was just the Sixers was a big swing and a miss.
Oh, I actually just found Luke's East predictions here. Let me read them off.
Oh, really? Let's hear them.
He had Wizards, Hornets, Sixers, Nets, Raptors.
No way.
This is not. Hang on a minute.
What? Luke, that was awful.
That's not right.
It says November 2nd, 2024. Luke and Mark prediction.
Oh, man.
And then I found his West ones too here.
Yeah, let's hear it.
During that part
let's hear the West one.
His West ones here are good.
Yeah.
Jazz, Pelicans, Spurs, Blazers, Suns, Mavericks, Kings, Grizz, Warriors.
No way. That's awful.
Yeah, I'm glad I still
banned.
had that on my phone.
Luke's banned from doing conference predictions anymore.
I want someone to actually audit that because that.
No, that's what our dedicated fans said.
That's just what we had in the database, man.
Right.
You said I put the Wizards number one.
Man. Yeah, you were saying something about how Jordan Poole was going to have an MVP caliber year. That does sound familiar.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the actual. I'm looking at the actual standings here. It looks like you perfectly predicted the reverse order. If that means anything, that's a good accomplishment.
Yeah, honestly, that's more impressive than what we did. Man, that was awful.
The poor Wizards, though, they did so terrible, and now they don't even have a.
I know. Even the Bulls were a coin flip away from Cooper Flag, and they lost.
Yeah, I'm actually buying into that the lottery's rigged, for real.
I saw something about it maybe being rigged for Patrick Ewing 30 years ago. The Knicks got it by some crazy chance.
Patrick Ewing, LeBron happens. The Grizzlies really had the best odds, I think, for that pick, number 1. But it just so happens that he's going to go back to his hometown, Cleveland and Northeast Ohio. That's very convenient for the NBA. Same thing, Derrick Rose, Chicago. The Bulls didn't have an amazing odds, but the hometown kid gets to go back to Chicago. that's very convenient for the league and doing numbers. And now this thing again.
What do you think about Wembanyama? Like that? Like the Spurs need to get their new.
Yeah, because who had the best odds that year for Wemby?
I think the Spurs did have a pretty good odds for it, but
but it was definitely like,
yeah.
I think of the photoshops. Wasn't it like the Wizards and
the Wizards and the Hornets probably had a good.
Hornets? It's always the Hornets. Yeah.
Yeah. Who went number 2 that year?
Behind Wemby?
Wasn't that was Ricochet too to the Hawks?
No, Ricochet was number 1 the year after.
Yeah. That was Sarr and Ricochet.
My bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Didn't remember like you didn't remember my conference standings.
I remember. I just found.
No, we remember those. Remember, it was the exact reverse.
And read it off.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I gave you credit. That's a big accomplishment. Getting them perfectly backwards.
Maybe you shouldn't have IT problems next time.
No.
Uh-huh. I've been charging it with one charger that's the USB-C and one charger that's like this, and it's both of them are working together, and it's still taking 20 minutes to.
There's no way that charging 2 different chargers at one time helps.
I don't know, man.
You're gonna blow up your computer.
Oh man, it's really inconvenient for you. That you weren't able to get your conference predictions up there.
Actually, as we speak.
And that's all the time we have. It's been a great Axecast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. Probably our longest episode ever.
Yeah, it is probably the longest one we've ever had. It didn't even feel like it. I feel like we were just.
Yeah.
It's a lot to get through.
I had to get so much off my chest.
Yeah.
I found it. I found my standings.
And connection's getting loose here. And
hang on. Here's the real standings, and I'm looking at it, and it's pretty bad too. But Eric left. All right, I'm just gonna say it though. For the West, I had the Thunder first. He got up 2. I'm saying it. Thunder first, Nuggets second, third in the West. I put the Kings.
Caleb, can you hear him?
I can't hear him. Is he saying something?
I
don't care.
I hear the words that he's mouthing, saying that the Jazz he had number 1. I think.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Grizzlies 4th, Mavericks 5th,
Grizzlies 14th.
6th.
Wow.
Spurs 7th, Pelicans 8th, Lakers 9th, Rockets 10th. So I think I missed even legit I missed half of them. I put the Spurs, Pelicans, Suns, Mavericks, and Kings in it. The Kings
you
are my
have the Timberwolves at all?
No.
Jeez.
You didn't have the Clippers at all?
No. But I had the Kings.
Actually, I did the same thing. I didn't have Clippers at all either.
For East, I put Celtics, Knicks, Cavs.
Who knew Kawhi would actually play?
Sixers, Nets, Pacers, Bucks, Magic, Bulls. That wasn't the worst.
By sleeping on my Pacers. You would really like the Pacers slogan this year, Luke. What was it? So they abbreviate. They cut off the first part of Pacers. So instead of it being PACERS, it's just comma, or it's just apostrophe CERS. So sirs, and then they put yes in front of it. What are you doing?
Come back.
Are those the aliens?
I guess. I don't know.
Anyways, they have yes sirs as their slogan. You would love it if you saw it.
That's good.
Anyways.
Get Memphis.
Get Memphis better.
Get Memphis. Big Memphis.
What does that even mean?
Get Memphis.
You're crying. All right. We ran long. But this is a fun Axecast recapping a very, very, very disappointing and frustrating season with you guys. But we'll bounce back and we'll be better next year. So, yeah. Any more closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No.
All right, gentlemen. Well, this has been the Axecast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Per usual, a little delayed start, but thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.